All right, the preview for tonight, week 3 of NFL betting, concludes with arguably the biggest game of the season as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Baltimore Ravens. The possible AFC Championship game preview sees both teams at 2-0 straight up. Each team has split their totals, going over and under once. Kansas City is 1-1 to the number. Baltimore is 2-0. Ravens are topping the odds makers by a league-leading 17.2 points per game. Only Green Bay is beating the bookmakers by an average of more than double digits other than the Baltimore Ravens. That being said, every other team but tonight's two opponents, of course, have played 3 games. Now, teams with a 15 or better margin of cover are 100, 124, and 8, including only 88, 116, and 7 if that team is not a home underdog. So that system, of course, would say to fade Baltimore and bet on Kansas City. And when I looked it up, again, it's not one of our most statistically significant systems, but very, very consistent within the NFL and the NBA especially. It's a lot about regression to the mean. So yes, usually the best spread teams are the best to bet against. Yes, you did hear me right. Now, the odds, you definitely want to shop around, because Baltimore is either -3 with a juice of like 119, 120, or 3.5 with juice around even money. The total is as low as 54.5, but as high as 55.5. The game opened up at 1.5 and 52. Now keep in mind, these opening lines are now posted before the previous week's games, but that is good because many people do consider that to be great power ratings, many sharps, because the public and therefore the odds makers have to overreact to the previous week's game. Of course, you do make adjustments for injuries, etc. Public betting percentage is 58% of bets and 64% of the money is on Kansas City. Now, on one hand, the public does love favorites, but when do they like to bet underdogs? When the underdog's a very good team. So the fact that defending Super Bowl champions are being loved as puppies here, not a surprise. Power ratings say the Ravens should be -3.5 with a total of 50, and those same power ratings project a 27-24 final in favor of Baltimore. Computer simulations, one of our top projection models, does 10,000 simulations. They found Baltimore winning by an average of 29-24, with the Ravens covering at -3 points at a 52% rate, and the game going under at 55%. But even with the pushes, the model only would represent a slight lean towards Baltimore. But with the added juice at -3, it would essentially be a wash as far as a percentage bet. At 3.5, though, the other elite model has Kansas City covering 55.1% to 44.9%, but at 3, only at 46.6 to 44.9, with about 9% of the simulations pushing. At 54.5, 54.9% of the simulations would go over, according to that model. Some against the spread trends. Kansas City is 7-0 after accumulating more than 250 yards passing in their previous game. They're 4-0-1 on Monday Night Football. 9-1 as an away dog. 9-1 to the AFC. Some over-under trends. Kansas City is 15-5 as underdogs, but they've gone under 35-16 after allowing more than 150 yards rushing in their previous game. Remember, Stevie Vincent is back. He's back in a groove. He's 5-2 over the weekend in football. He has a Pro Football Monday Night Game of the Year on this game. He says to bet 6 times your normal amount. That's at offshoreinsiders.com. Again, if you do like this, whatever, if you're watching on Periscope, please give us a heart. YouTube, please give us a like, comment, embed, retweet, what have you, if you're listening to the podcasts. The audio podcast, we're on everything. iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, what have you. Please give us a positive review. That will help us out. And again, always visit. Oh, yeah. And have you seen the new website, offshoreinsiders.com? Much more mobile friendly than before. You might argue that I should have updated a couple years ago. One day we'll tell you about why there were some Murphy's Law delays. But finally, fantastic programmer has it updated, modernized, very much mobile friendly. You can now access it. You can purchase from church. Access the picks from, well, you always could do that before, but it's easier than ever. offshoreinsiders.com.